Introduction. This report comes at a pivotal moment for our nation's race debate. We need to place that debate on objective and democratic foundations, ones that include people of goodwill of all races and ethnicities. The purpose of this report is to lay the ground for a country built on the full participation and trust of all communities. We envisage a country more at ease with itself because it can recognise where progress has been made. One that is confident that, where unequal access to opportunity persists, whether amongst inner-city ethnic minorities or left behind from the ethnic majority, it is being addressed. We do not believe that the UK is yet a post-racial society which has completed the long journey to equality of opportunity, and we know too many of us from personal experience that prejudice and discrimination can still cast a shadow over our lives. Outright racism still exists in the UK, whether it surfaces as graffiti on someone's business, violence in the street, or prejudice in the labour market. It can cause a unique and indelible pain to the individual affected and has no place in any civilised society. But we have ensured our analysis has gone beyond these individual instances to carefully examine the evidence and data, and the evidence reveals that ours is nevertheless a relatively open society. The country has come a long way in 50 years, and the success of much of the ethnic minority population in education, and to a lesser extent the economy, should be regarded as a model for other white majority countries. There is a salience and attention to race equality in the UK in policy making and in the media, which is seldom found in other European countries, and there is an expectation of ethnic minority voices at the top of politics, across the political parties and in law, education, medicine, business, media and culture, that did not exist a generation ago and is still too rare elsewhere. Yet there are still some snowy white peaks at the very top of the private and public sectors, and not all of that can be accounted for by the fact that members of the ethnic minorities have not, by definition, been embedded in the country's human networks and institutions for as long as the white majority. But some of that snow is melting. Consider the greater presence of ethnic minorities in the current government and opposition, this time occupying top positions such as Chancellor of the Exchequer, Attorney General, Business Secretary and Home Secretary, or the onward march of minorities into positions of power and responsibility in professions such as law and medicine. Ethnic minorities are also now well represented in the highest of social class, and ethnic minority students represented nearly a quarter of those from the UK offered a place at Oxford in 2019. In addition, our inquiries have also underlined to us that the roots of advantage and disadvantage for different groups are complex, and often as much to do with social class, family culture, and geography as ethnicity. We've tried to understand the drivers of ethnic difference in the UK, and where necessary, propose ways to address them. The data collected over 5 years now by the government's Race Disparity Unit has given us a new opportunity to be led by the evidence. Multiple reviews relating to racial and ethnic disparity have been commissioned by successive governments since 2010, covering a range of topics relevant to the areas of focus for this commission. They have tended to look at specific problems, and sometimes have sought swift fixes. Successive governments have made and continue to make sincere efforts to implement those recommendations where they have been accepted. This commission has taken a different starting point, to look at the underlying causes of disparities to better understand why they have come about, and what can be done to address them over the long run. We have sought to build upon the detailed work that those reviews have done, and discuss the findings with each reviewer. Many we broadly agreed with, and all should be acknowledged and recognised for the significant contributions they've made to the national conversation and growing the evidence base. These reviews, which we refer to in the relevant chapters of this report, include the following: the Timpson Review of School Exclusion, the Children's Commissioner's Best Beginnings in the Early Years report, the McGregor-Smith Review, Race in the Workplace, the Parker Review, Ethnic Diversity of UK Boards, the Lammy Review, an independent review into the treatment of and outcomes for Black, Asian, and minority ethnic individuals in the criminal justice system. The Angolini Review, Deaths and Serious Incidents in Police Custody. The Marmot Review, Fair Society, Healthy Lives. The Wesley Review, Modernising the Mental Health Act. In the main chapters of this report, we look at 4 key areas: education and training, employment, fairness at work and enterprise, crime and policing, and health. We examined the intersection of some of the most pertinent causes holding back equality of opportunity, namely ethnicity, socio-economic background, geography, culture and degree of integration. We found that most of the disparities we examined, which some attribute to racial discrimination, often do not have their origins in racism. Racism has become one of the most potent taboos in the UK, which was not the case 50 years ago. Some argue this has just driven it underground, where it operates as powerfully as ever to deny equality to ethnic minorities. That assumption is at odds with the stories of success that this report has found, together with survey evidence of dwindling white prejudice. It is certainly true that the concept of racism has become much more fluid, extending from overt hostility and exclusion to unconscious bias and microaggressions. This is partly because ethnic minorities have higher expectations of equal treatment, and, rightly, will not tolerate behaviour that only a couple of generations ago would have been likely quietly endured or shrugged off. The fact that this generation expects more is a positive aspect of integration. However, there is also an increasing strident form of anti-racism thinking that seeks to explain all minority disadvantage through the prism of white discrimination. This diverts attention from the other reasons for minority success and failure, including those embedded in the cultures and attitudes of the minority communities themselves. There is much evidence to suggest, for example, that different experiences of family life and structure can explain many disparities in educational outcomes and crime. Early years of experiences, including stability and security at home, matters to children more than anything else. There are many different family structures that can provide a happy childhood, including millions of single parents doing a loving and effective job in difficult circumstances. It is clear, however, that there continues to be a need for more explicit public policy promotion of parental and family support. We reject both the stigmatization of single mothers and the turning of a blind eye to the impact of family breakdown on the life chances of children. The work of the Commission has been carried out under the shadow of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the evidence that some ethnic minority groups have faced a disproportionate impact from the virus. As the analysis of why this is the case has emerged, the significance of wide range of interlocking factors, including geography, occupation, deprivation, and pre-existing health conditions, has become clear. However, when examining the overall health of the UK population, it is also evident that there is more than one story to tell. As we report in the health chapter, life expectancy and overall mortality shows that ethnic minorities do better overall than the white population, and actually have better outcomes for many of the 25 leading causes of death. This report seeks to approach these issues of racial and ethnic disparities in a balanced way, highlighting both the success stories that the data reveals as well as delving into what lies beneath some of the more persistent and enduring ones. As such, its findings and recommendations may be surprising to some and thought-provoking to others. Either way, we have gone as far as the available evidence and time would allow.